Hi, this is Anne with Graphic Design How To, and today I'm going to go over some things to do if you happen to be laid off from your graphic design job. I'll go over 3 things that you should do right away, and then kind of an hour by hour daily schedule of what you can do to kind of get back on track and start working towards that next job. Obviously, getting laid off is going to be pretty hard on your mental health, but it'll probably happen to you at least once in your lifetime. It can be pretty stressful, but there are things you can do to set yourself up for success and not get too down on yourself. All right, let's get started. The first thing you should do is just kind of take a deep breath and realize that getting laid off may not be personal. It can be due to economic factors or changes in your organization, and it might just not have anything to do with you. Second, you'll need to go over your finances. You might need to pick up kind of a fill-in job while you're looking for your next graphic design job. I've heard it can take quite a while right now with the economy the way it is to find a job quickly. So this could be a process that takes many months. You'll also want to take it easy on your spending, of course, and look into unemployment benefits. Third, don't be afraid to reach out to your network. Getting laid off can be pretty scary and embarrassing. When I was laid off back in 2016, I didn't want to tell anybody that I'd basically been fired. I felt like a loser. But I also needed a job. So I posted on Facebook and LinkedIn and basically said, hey, I got laid off. Does anybody have any leads on graphic design jobs? That text that was just on your screen, I wrote it in the description below too, so you can copy and paste it if you want to. Okay, now let's get on to the daily schedule. And this is going to look different for everybody. It really depends on how much free time you have. If you got that fill-in job that I talked about earlier, you're not going to have time to do all of this stuff. But basically the idea is it is now your job to look for a new job. So you're going to want to put in 8 hours a day if you can, if you don't have that other job. And of course, feel free to add breaks and take some time for yourself. So first thing in the morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I would update my portfolio. And why so early in the morning, you ask? Because for me at least, the portfolio is the biggest overwhelming thing that we all procrastinate. I just finished the book Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, and it really convinced me to kind of tackle the biggest, scariest thing the first thing in the morning for the first 2 hours or so. And that book has a lot of really awesome tips. So if you want to check that out, that'll be in the description too. I redone my portfolio about 4 times in the last 20 years, and a lot of the projects in there are ones that I just made up. The jobs that I had at the time just didn't lend themselves very well to portfolio work. So in the interview, I would just say, oh, this was a fun project that I just took on by myself. But most of what you'll want to put in there is stuff from your jobs and your recent jobs. You'll really want to show only your very best and most recent work. And don't forget, if the client ended up with something you didn't necessarily like, you can always go back to a previous version and use that instead. Now, if you aren't allowed to show your work, like let's say you signed a non-disclosure agreement, in that case, you would take the work, just change the logo and colors and make it look a little different. Then you're not breaking any rules. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., it's time to work on updating your LinkedIn and updating your resume. When you apply for each job, you're going to want to tailor your resume to match the job description and keywords. But for now, you'll want to make kind of a generic resume that has all of your graphic design jobs on it. If you have enough jobs to fill up the whole resume that are entirely graphic design, then only put those. But if you only have 1 or 2 graphic design jobs, you can put 1 or 2 other jobs that are unrelated. On the other hand, on LinkedIn, I like to have every job that I've ever had since the dawn of time. And the reason for that is you just never know what a hiring manager is going to see in your old jobs that they like. For example, when I was a teenager, I worked for my dad just as a farmhand. So I was out there like building electric fence and that kind of thing. Obviously, it had nothing to do with graphic design. But when I went in for the interview, the hiring manager mentioned it because she said, oh, you must be a hard worker if you're willing to do that. I also had another person mention the fact that I used Quark Express in college, which really is not relevant today, but they were impressed with these things that I just never really thought about. So having all your jobs on your LinkedIn can really do good things for you. Another tip for LinkedIn is fill out every possible blank there is. This shows employers that you really care about your job search and that you're meticulous. On the LinkedIn side, they'll show your profile to more potential recruiters. Just because you filled out all that stuff, you're going to be higher in the algorithm. Once you get your generic resume and your LinkedIn completely optimized, you can fill in this time with other job search related activities. 11 a.m. to noon is the job search. I would start a Trello board for this. Trello is a super easy to use organizational tool, and it's free. Now, I wanted to jump into Trello to just kind of show you how I would set this up if I was starting my job search today. First, I would add a board right over here on the left, and you can do that with this plus button. And then you'll have a blank canvas and you'll see add a list or add another list. So you can just click on this. I would make 4 lists and I would title them potential jobs, applied, interview, and rejected. Under the potential jobs column, I would make a new little card, and you can do that right here for every job on my radar. So let's take a look at this one. Because this kind of matched my skills, I gave it 3 stars, and you'll want to put the 3 stars at the beginning of the title. And I'll tell you why in a moment. So this is the name of the job, and then in the description, which you can edit right here, you can add the link of the job. So every job that you find on your search will go into this column. And I would rank these between 1 and 5 stars, 5 being a perfect match and 1 star being not so great a match. Then after you have, let's say there's 100 on here, you can just come over here to this little 3 dots and choose sort by. And then you can do by card name. This will put them all in order, so you can start from the bottom of the list when you're applying and work up. So by sorting them like that, you can apply to all the 5-star jobs first. Then once you've applied, all you have to do is just click and drag this into the applied one. If they want to do an interview, I would move it over here to interview. And so you'll have all these cards and they can be moved around easily to whatever list you want. And then of course you're going to get rejections, so then you can take them out of the applied and put them in rejected. Okay, from noon to 1, I would take my lunch break, and then from 1 to 2, it would be back to more job search. So this would be like going out on Indeed.com and other job sites and just adding these to the Trello board. By the way, even if a job listing says you need XX years of experience, take that with a grain of salt, because a lot of times if you have a really great portfolio, they might be willing to overlook that. Also, a lot of the time, job descriptions are filled with nice to haves instead of absolutely have to haves. And even though this can be called a requirement, it might be a nice to have. When I was looking, I pretty much applied to everything that I thought I could do. And I got callbacks on several of those that wanted more years experience than I had. From 2 to 3 p.m., tailor your resume. During this hour, sort your list of potential jobs in Trello and then save a copy of your resume with that job name. So maybe you could do 3 or 4 of these at a time. You'll save 3 or 4 different files and then open the first one and tailor it to the job description using a lot of the same keywords. This means you're going to have a different resume for every job you apply to. And you'll want to make sure that you're saving it as a PDF in the end with live text. Do not create outlines on your text. A lot of larger companies use ATS systems to match the words in your resume to the words in the job description. And if they don't match, then nobody ever even sees it. It's completely automated. So keep that live text so that the ATS can read it. From 3 to 5 p.m., apply to jobs. Now you can use all the resumes that you created in the last step to actually apply for jobs. And then once you're done, you can take that card on Trello and just pull it over to the applied list. If you get rejection letters from anybody, you can then move that job from applied to rejected. Just a note, back when I was applying, and this was a few years ago, so not the economy we're in today, which I think is a little bit worse, I would send out like 50 resumes and maybe get 7 callbacks and maybe 3 or 4 interviews. Everything else, they either never responded or they rejected me outright. So just know you're going to get a lot of rejections. Don't take it to heart and keep moving on. Also, keep in mind that a lot of graphic design jobs out there don't have the title graphic designer. I have another video where I talk about all of the different possible job types that fall under the graphic design realm in some way. So if you want to take a look at that, that'll be right up here at the top of your screen. Now, I feel like the job search is the hardest job that we have to do. A, you don't get paid. B, you're getting rejected all the time. And C, you just feel like you're spinning your wheels and going nowhere. But just remember, you don't need to get all the jobs you apply for. You just need to get one. All right, I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you liked it and you want to see more videos like this, just hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it. You'll be notified every time a new video comes out. All right, I'll see you next week with another graphic design video. Thank you.